Hi, welcome to my channel. Thanks for stopping by. Today I'm going to show you how to make a MacKenzie child inspired Christmas tree ornament, and it's one of the truck ornaments. This is so cute. I think you'll love this. And if you do like this video, I'd really appreciate it if you give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the bell so you'll be notified the next time I upload a video. And I have several MacKenzie child inspired videos coming up, along with a lot of Christmas videos coming up. Now let's get into that and let me show you how I did this one. To begin with, I am using this little red truck ornament that I picked up at Dollar General. And you can see here this ornament cost me $2. Now the first thing I'm going to do is on the MacKenzie child's truck, their truck has kind of a different shape to the hood of their truck than what this one did. So I'm just taking a pencil and I'm kind of rounding off and drawing on like what I think the shape of the MacKenzie child's truck looks like. And their truck just kind of has a hood that doesn't come down quite as far. And so I'm just kind of drawing that on here with a pencil to make it a little bit shorter and a little bit more round. And if I make a mistake like I did right here, just erase it. These are real easy to erase. This is just a plastic truck. It's a hard plastic. And you can kind of see the outline of where I drew that on there. It almost looks more like a Volkswagen Bugs hood now. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to shorten this door a little bit. I don't want this door going quite so far towards the front of my truck, and so I'm going to make that a little bit shorter. And like you can see, anytime I make a mistake, I just erase it. I love projects that are very forgiving. Now this line with making the door a little bit shorter, I just brought that line down from the door straight down to show where I'm kind of ending that tire portion there, or the wheel well portion. Then you can see I just added a little tiny spot right behind the door towards the bed of the truck, where right at the bottom, I just want that little piece left that I don't paint white either. Now I'm using this Deco Americana, and this is in the holly green, and I'm painting the inside of this truck because the MacKenzie child's truck is painted green on the inside. Now this truck obviously was not intended, and they did not mean for people to be looking that close at the inside of this truck. So this truck is a little kind of rough and everything inside. It's not really made for people to be looking inside it that much. So it's not a smooth surface, but I'm just painting it anyway in this green. But I'm finding that this green looks too dark, so I'm going to paint over that green with the light olive green in the Master's Touch. And this is really a lot more like the MacKenzie Child green. And I've used this green before on MacKenzie Child's items that I've made. If you're interested in seeing some of those other MacKenzie Child items, I'll go ahead and leave the link up above for all my MacKenzie Child playlist, so you can watch all of them if you'd like to. Now next I'm going to be using this Waverly white chalk paint, and I picked this up at Walmart, and I decided to use this just because I thought I would get a really good coverage covering up this red. Now this is actually a step that if you don't have this type of paint, you can certainly skip this, because you're going to see that I use this paint for my first coat, and then I use a regular acrylic paint for my second coat over the top of this, and they're both white. And I found that the acrylic paint covers this up really good, that I didn't really need to use this chalk paint. And I tend to like acrylic paints more than chalk paints. It depends on what it is I'm using it for. So you can use either one. It's whatever your preference is. But you don't have to have the two different types of paints like what I did here, where I used the chalk paint first and then the acrylic paint. So that's completely up to you. If you only have the acrylic paint, you can certainly just use the acrylic paint. And now you can see I'm painting the whole top of our truck, and I'm going to go ahead and paint the hood of our truck, all except for that little tiny square that I left right in the center front of our windshield. Everywhere else, I'm going to paint white within the parameter that I marked off with our pencil. And you can kind of see it's coming together here now, and you can kind of see that shape a little bit better. Now, everything that I'm painting white on here, well, really every color I paint on here, I always give it at least 2 coats of paint. So this is just the first coat, but I will give everything another coat so that the red or the colors underneath don't bleed through. Now your first coat is always just kind of your rough coat. So your second coat is where you really clean everything up and make sure everything's nice and straight lined and everything. The first coat is to basically see what portions it is you're painting. Now you can see in the front here on that hood how I changed the shape of that a little bit. And I love how it leaves this red stripe going around the front, because now this hood isn't carried down as far. Now I'm going to go ahead and paint these. I don't know, are these wheel wells? Are these the front fender? I don't know what this part is. Anyways, I'm painting it white. Yeah, I don't know anything about cars. You guys are probably laughing at me going, what is this woman talking about? Yeah, I literally know nothing about cars. Now again, I'm not trying to be super careful, but I'm not trying to purposely get outside the lines or get it everywhere either. Now, if you do get something in a spot that you don't want it, go ahead and just wipe it off, because this is a hard plastic that we're doing it on, so it does wipe off fairly easy. But even if it dries and you can't get it wiped off, don't worry about it. You can always paint over it with another color, whatever color it actually needs to be. So it's not a big deal. Like I told you before, I love everything that is forgiving when it comes to DIYs. Now you can see here right at the bottom, right there by where I'm painting, there's a little spot that's still red. That is that little spot that I put the line around, that I didn't want that white going all the way to the bottom. I want to leave that part open because I didn't want that to get painted with the white. Now we're just going to also paint the back of our truck bed here. And now I'm going to use a little bit of this Deco Art Americana Light Cinnamon, and this brown color. We are going to use this and get these running boards, and get the running boards all painted up, and this bottom part underneath the top of the running board all painted up. And then we're also going to paint the truck bed with this light cinnamon. So it doesn't use very much of your brown paint, but just a touch. Now here you can see how that's looking there with the brown painted on. The other thing I really like about using these paints is they dry so quickly. Now you can see the top portion of our truck bed. I'm going to go ahead and paint this brown all the way around. And then the very top portion where the Christmas tree is sitting, you can see here I painted that brown as well, all the way around that bottom portion of the Christmas tree where the truck bed is. And I even painted up onto the underside of the Christmas tree a little bit, because I didn't want any of the red showing on that Christmas tree. Now here is where I'm taking this acrylic white paint in the apple barrel, and I'm going over all of the white that we've already done, and I'm just going over it with this acrylic paint. And now we're ready to start making our pattern. We are ready to start making the courtly check pattern with our pencil. So what I'm doing, I'm just freehanding this. I'm not being exact on measuring or anything. All I'm doing is eyeballing this, making lines going straight up and down the very top of the truck. And I'm trying to keep our lines all about evenly spaced apart. And I'm doing that all the way across the very top here. And I know with the lighting, it's a little hard to see. I'm going to show you a little bit closer up here so you can see these lines a little bit better. Now, I'm also going to make the lines that we put on here going sideways the exact same width. Now here you can see even coming down the edge of the truck, I'm still going to do one of these lines about that same width. And I'm going to carry that over right here on this front corner of the truck here. And we're going to keep these lines evenly spaced going all the way down. And we're going to carry these lines right down the hood of our truck. And again, I'm trying to keep these all evenly spaced. So I want the same spacing on the hood is what I have on the very top of the truck. I want all of our lines to kind of match up because we don't want really thick checks down on this portion and really tiny checks up on the portion up above. So just try and make sure your lines are all even. And now we're going to go across, and this is actually going to give us our checked pattern. And again, we want to keep these lines about the same width apart as what they were when they were going the opposite direction, so that all of our squares turn out to be pretty square. And again, keeping those lines evenly spaced, we're going all the way across here. And we are going to do this on every section of our truck that is painted white. We are going to make the same checkerboard. Now, if something is in your way and you cannot continue making your line, just make your line as if that thing wasn't in your way and then pick it up on the other side of that, like what I did with the Christmas tree here. And you can see our checkerboard and how our squares are all fairly uniform up there. Now we want to do that same thing down here on the hood of the truck. Again, making sure that they all stay fairly uniform. Oops, let me get this up here where you can see it. Just like that. And again, I'm trying to keep my lines straight. If they get a little bit off, it's not a problem. If it gets way off, you can always just erase it or make a new line right over the top of that. So I just made the exact same pattern and tried to kind of match up those lines on both sides of the hood. And here you can see a close-up of that. You can see these aren't perfect and they don't have to be. MacKenzie Child's items are all hand painted, and so you're not ever going to see two things that are exactly alike because they're not machine made, and that is the complete charm of it. I absolutely love their stuff. If you've never been to their website, I highly recommend going to their website. Now you can see I'm doing the doors, and I'm doing the doors exactly the same. I made sure how many lines and squares I put on one door, I made sure to put the same number of lines on the opposite door. Now on our front fender or wheel well, whatever this is, so I'm just kind of following that ridge and that line of the wheel well. And I'm going to take this right down below where that running board is on the side. And now I'm going to make it evenly spaced, going right across in our cross lines so that we still get our checkerboard pattern. And keep your lines, like I said, evenly spaced apart. That I can't stress enough. And again, with the light being in the way there, I just do my line part way until I can get to one edge of the light, and then I pick that line up on the other side of the light as if I never had the light there to begin with, and I could just draw that line straight across. And here, let me show you a close-up of this. And you can see how I just kind of followed the shape of the truck right there. As it curved, I just curved the line. Now I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other side and on the back of our truck, like you can see here. What we're doing now though is we are just using a Sharpie, and everywhere that we put a line with our pencil, we are going to use our Sharpie and just highlight that line. That is going to make it so much easier for us to see when we are painting exactly what it is we need to paint and where it is. And now you can really see here all of our lines and all of our checks with this Sharpie all on. And I know you're probably thinking, oh my gosh, it's starting to look scary now, but this will help so much when it comes to the painting, because now you have everything drawn onto your truck, and now it's going to make it very easy to use this apple barrel black paint and just start making our checks. So I'm starting here at the top corner, and I'm going to stay trying to keep it as best as I can within our square, and I'm just going to start painting every other square black. And I'm using a very small flat brush to do this part. And I picked up this brush at Walmart. And now I have that top part done, and you can see that's looking really good. That's our first coating on there, and it's looking good. Now once it dries, if we need to go back through and do a second coat of the black, we can, or if we need to straighten any of those up. Now, as well as doing our little checkerboard pattern with the black, I'm also going to paint this entire front grille of our truck. They had that black and silver, and their painting job wasn't the best on there, so I wanted to totally cover that up, all in black, and then we will repaint that in a minute. Now we're going to use some of this Deco Art Tuscan Red, and we are going to use that to add in this red stripe right along the back portion of our wheel well. Now remember, I said I didn't add the checkerboard all the way across the wheel well in the back sides. So I just put the checkerboard on each side of where I marked out that center line where I could have added in a checkerboard. That center line, I just didn't add the lines going across. Now everywhere on our truck where it is red, I am going ahead and adding this red in there to make it very clean looking and make all of our reds match. I'm making everything look very nice and clean and sharp looking with this red as I'm going around. Now next, I'm going to take more of this light olive green by Master's Touch that we used on the inside, and I'm going to add a touch of this at the bottom. Remember that bottom spot where I put a little line because I didn't want that to be colored in the white? This is why I want to add a touch of our green in there on both sides to just kind of carry that green color all the way through. And I'm going to do the back sides of our headlights in this green as well. Again, just kind of following the same pattern as what the MacKenzie child's truck actually looks like and how they do theirs. Now, again, I do 2 coats of this green, 2 coats of the red, and you can see how everything's looking nice and sharp looking there. And now we're going to add in some of this gold, and we're going to start with this gold right across our grill here. All these parts that are sticking out are a little bit higher than the rest of the grill. I'm going to do all these in gold. That's going to add that extra little rich flavor to it. And I'm doing the same with the headlights. Now they originally had the headlights and the grill silver, but the gold just really takes it up a notch. And you know, if you watch MacKenzie Child's items that their courtly checks are generally highlighted with either reds, greens, or golds. And you can see I did the little side mirrors in the gold as well. And now the center piece that goes right down the center of our hood, I'm also going to just give that just a touch of gold going right down that. I love the gold on there. Now next, also, I'm going to do the gold everywhere where you see the silver on the wheels. The silver just does not go with what we're going for this particular look. So we are covering all the silver on this with the gold. Now, because they mass produce these, I believe in China, the paint job, you know how it is when you buy things like that. The paint job is just kind of like all over the place and everything. And that's why I'm just going in and cleaning up their paint job, even on things that they already had painted, like the red. Now I'm taking some of this gold and I'm giving the bed of the truck that was done in the browns. I'm highlighting all that. Now I'm not painting this so I get every little inch of this brown painted gold, but it's a little more than dry brushing. So the brown will still show through, but it just has that shimmer of gold over the top of it. And I'm doing that all the way up everywhere where you see brown. But isn't that beautiful, the way that gold just shimmers on there? And there's our MacKenzie Child's truck. It is looking fabulous. Now I'm going to add just the slightest touch of this gold around the edges of the windshield. Not very much, just a touch. Now, one thing I did not show you is you'll notice on the Christmas tree, I touched each of the points of the Christmas tree with some white to just give it a snowy look. And at the bottom of the windshield, I added some little black lines just to add in that MacKenzie Child look right across the bottom of the windshield. Now, our last step for this is to take our Mod Podge and really give this a good coating of Mod Podge, getting into all the crevices and all the parts because we want this paint to really adhere and stay on here nice. Now here is our truck. It's all Mod Podged. We just need to wait and let this dry. Here you can see I just set this truck on a little bit of the Christmas tree right here so you can see a look like that. Here I have it hanging from an ornament holder and I just have the light turned on if you're interested in the light that comes with this truck. Or here I just have it sitting on a little table with some ornament bulbs. I think it looks fabulous no matter where you decide to use it. And for taking a $2 ornament, we really upped the game on this and made it look like a very high-end ornament from MacKenzie Child's. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, I'd really appreciate it if you give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the bell so you'll be notified the next time I upload a video. Thanks so much for watching.